Welcome and good evening, race fans. Welcome to round number 4 of the North American Grand Prix Thursday Night GT League. My name is Ken Rodriguez, and we are coming to you live tonight from the Vallelunga circuit here in Vallelunga of Campagnano, Italy. This circuit here tonight, we're going to take you quickly over to the track map, and we're going to show you what it's all about. So this circuit features long sweeping fast corners in the first 2 sectors, and then a tight and twisty, tricky final sector. You got 15 turns, 15 corners on this track, and yes, we are running this long GP layout with these GT cars. These drivers, as we have just started the qualifying session with about 23 minutes left to go, have been challenged, to say the least, here tonight with some of those tight, twisty areas in Sector 3. So taking a look at Daniel Smith out there in the Lamborghini Huracan, as he takes it through Sector 3 now. We're going to go ahead and cycle through the field, get you some live action. Good to see Jack Ivy back this Thursday night. Jack Ivy has been out, I believe it was for 2 consecutive, or was it just 1? I'm not exactly sure, but Jack Ivy was not here last week, so it's good to see Jack back out there on the track, laying it down with the best of them. Let's take it inside the cockpit with Jack. Now Jack's on an out lap right now, so this isn't going to be for qualifying, but to give you guys an idea of just what these drivers are faced with, that Sector 3 in this track, very slow going sector. Oddly enough, we saw some practice times in the 130s. So like I said, oddly enough. Jack just going through Cimini 2, so he's now just past turn number 6, headed into Campagnano, which is turn number 7. This is a long sweeping hairpin, if you will. And this is where things start to really get tight and technical. Sector 3 now, this is the slowest part of the track. Riding along with Jack Ivy and the Nissan GTR car. And Jack comes through turn number 15, Roma, and that brings him on to the start-finish straight. So Jack was actually on a flyer. Jack puts up a 135. Ronnie Nunez now on a flyer. Or he might be on an out lap. Let's go ahead and see if we can find somebody who's out there on a flyer right now. Oh, Luis Fermin and Andrew Werner are stuck out on track. For the likes of Ludden and Poel. There we go. So David Poel is currently sitting in second with a time of 132.851 to John Ludden's 132.781. And I believe Mr. Ludden is right behind them. Yep. So John Ludden, your provisional pole sitter, no longer carrying any weight now. I was looking at the car grid a little bit earlier and noticed that Chris Moses is carrying around 70 kilos. Taking a look at David Poel as he comes around the track now. He's on a flyer. So now David Poel still with a 132.851. No improvement yet. So just looking at our website forum, it doesn't say why, but those that are carrying ballast tonight are Chris Moses with 70 kilos, Ian Joe LaCour with 40. Now that was because of his win last week. Aaron Parsons with 30 kilos because of his second place finish. Now, Chris Moses picked up 70 kilos of ballast from last week. Not exactly sure. We're going to have to find out why. I don't recall if I saw anything in the penalties thread regarding that, as these guys raced at Zandvoort. I'm not exactly sure as to why, but there was one penalty that was handed out last week to Salem Montgomery Jr., who is not racing. He is not in attendance here tonight. 30 kilograms for having gotten into Nieto on the main straight at last week's race. So Pool's going to park it and go back out quickly. Let's take a look at Brad Maris driving that BMW Z4. Looking mighty fast as he comes around that long front sweeper. Oh, not going to do it that way. Riding along with Al Merriman. Boy, so I'm still just, let's take a look here. That's an awful lot of weight to assign to somebody, and Again, I'm not exactly sure why the weight was assigned to Chris Moses at 70 kilos. He hasn't changed cars. He and Aaron Parsons have not changed cars, so we're not exactly sure, but we're going to try and find out. what the reasoning behind the 70 kilos of ballast for Chris Moses is. So we're going to take a look at the race results from last week. Now, Ian Jolicoeur, Chris Moses finished second last week, so that would have netted him 30 kilos. And Aaron Parsons, I believe, 20. But anyway, so we're going to let that go, guys. We're going to get you right back out on track. If you are watching the broadcast live, just know that I do not have the chat open. I do not have the broadcast running. We're saving all the bandwidth that we have for the broadcast itself, guys. So just to let you know. Jack Ivey putting in a good qualifying run. He's currently sitting in 15th. Not bad at all. But John Ludden, the man to beat, John Ludden, David Poel, they have not improved on their qualifying times from early on. With just over 12 minutes left to go, and for those of you that are not aware, Kunos did release a 1.3.4 update just earlier today, and they did go ahead and further enhance the 64-bit physics of the platform. So, you know, now these cars are actually behaving and driving like their real-world counterparts, and that you're not going to go out there and do a fast warm-up lap and have your tires at optimum operating temperature come lap 2. Nope. Now it's taking 2 to 3 laps for these tires to actually get up to their optimal temperatures and the pressures to stabilize sufficiently enough. So it makes it all that more crucial for these drivers to know what they're doing in terms of setup, camber, caster, tire pressures. All of that now becomes very, very relevant over past simulators where you would notice the difference in driving. However, the tire itself, you know, now the tire itself is actually behaving and responding to the changes that you are doing on the car. Not only that, but your driving inputs, your driving style have a huge effect on how the tires handle. So now it's not all about tire grip. Yes, it's important, but now your mechanical grip becomes just as important in car setup. And if you go to our forums on the website, you'll see a lot of back and forth information being shared about what a lot of drivers are discovering in terms of you know, setups. They've had to go back to the drawing boards with their engineers and come up with a whole different type of setup to suit different tracks, and that's the way it should be. So we're inching closer to, you know, the simulation part of our hobby here, in that now we're starting to simulate real-world motorsports and how these cars behave. On board with Omar Gomez. Omar Gomez into turn 7. Nope, I'm sorry, not turn 7. Now he's into turn 7. Omar Gomez, best lap time of a 137.6. Trying to improve on that. Have to hug those apexes just a little bit tighter in these cars and these types of tracks. Especially the Sector 3 portion of this track. You need to get that apex just right. You need to hug it, slow in, and fast out. You got to get up on those apexes. Just under 9 minutes of qualifying left. Andrew Werner in the Dodge Viper SRT currently sitting 11th with a 133.98. Oh, as one of the Ferraris takes it off track. I'm sure unintentionally. So John Wathen currently driving solo tonight. Ian Jolicoeur unfortunately had to miss tonight. I don't think anybody did step in for him. Wathen taking it a bit wide. So Wathen currently in 18th with a 136.45. And now we see Ronnie Nunez go to the top of the leaderboard with a 132. Whoa, and he just improved it again with a 132.4. I was about to say a 132.6, but nope, Ronnie Nunez now with a 132.4, besting John Ludden by over 0.3 of a second. So we'll take it on board with John Ludden. These drivers now have just under 6 minutes to finish their qualifying runs. And so Ronnie Nunez goes out and sets the pace now on provisional pole with a 132.4. John Ludden going to come to the stripe. And no improvement for Ludden. And he's not going to get it done there. And Iggy Chiordia is back with us. Nathaniel Smith with us, and Nathan Smith, his brother, just up in 15th. Luis Fermin. Fermin is currently sitting in 4th right now with a 132.88. Al Merriman currently running in 8th. Qualified 8th with a 133.61. Al trying to get some performance out of that car, out of that Porsche 911. Through the Semaforo hairpin, that's turn number 11, and now through Torrentino, very tight. definitely one really neat circuit. Requires all the focus of these drivers to put in a good lap. Let's talk about Bjorn Heyman. We haven't given Bjorn any love tonight, so Heyman currently is running in 16th, so he's qualified with a 135.488. Still out there trying to improve on that time. And now the wonder from down under, Aaron Parsons, who is currently running in 9th with a 133.63. Aaron Parsons carrying around 40 kilos of success ballast on that Aston Martin, so certainly going to have some effect here on this tight, twisty track. Oh, as he loses it and is not going to get the improvements done that he's looking for. Alfonso Rodriguez driving for the Chevrolet Corvette C7, currently sitting in 6th with a qualifying time of a 133.2 as we round down to 2.5 minutes left of qualifying time. Wizard, Chris Moses. Chris Moses is currently running in 12th with a 134.4. Heck, not bad for having 70 kilos of success of ballast. Don't know if it's success or penalty, but it's one of the two. Chris Moses looking to improve his time. 1 minute 45 seconds left to go. Takes it now through turn number 12. Finishing off the last sector of this racetrack. Gonna bring it around Roma for the last turn. And no improvement for Moses. Moises Caraballo, teammate to Al Merriman. Team gotta go by. He's gonna pull it off the track. So David Poel, Aaron Parsons still out on track trying to improve their time. And Antarani Nunez is 132.4. Rick Crawford in the pit. Martin Walters in the pit. Jack Ivey in the pit. Not exactly sure why Martin Walters did not put up a qualifying time for tonight's race. Alfonso Alvarez comes through, and Alvarez gonna end up slotting in 7th. Not bad. Not bad at all with a 133.2 for Alfonso Alvarez. Does he have one more left in him? Take it on board. Alvarez. So Alvarez currently slotted in 7th, a 133.278, and he's going to bring it into the pits. And his qualifying effort is done. And that is going to do it. So now the grid gets set. We've got 6 minutes for countdown. And we're into this thing for, let's see here, 250 kilometers, about 1.5 hours. Max distance, 55 laps. And there is the 10% cut rule. It is in effect now. The competition committee now goes and they manually review the cuts. So everybody gets reviewed. Nobody is exempt from the cut review. Whether you finish first or dead last, you are subject to the cut review from the competition committee, and that they do quite thoroughly. So we're just going to wait for the countdown now. These guys get about 6 minutes to get up, go to the restroom, do whatever it is that they got to do. So while we're doing that, why don't we go ahead and run down the starting order for you. Starting in first from pole position, Ronnie Nunez, driving the Chevrolet Corvette C6. Luis Fermin will start in second, John Ludd in third. David Poel starting in fourth, Moises Caraballo will start fifth. Alfonso Rodriguez in sixth, and Alfonso Alvarez, putting in a very good qualifying effort, will start in seventh. Al Merriman will start eighth. Aaron Parsons, carrying around 30 kilos of ballast, will start in ninth. Brad Maris will start 10th. Andrew Werner in 11th. Chris Moses, and there you see he's got that heavy 70 kilos tacked onto his car, starting in 12th. Johnny McIntyre will start 13th. Nathan Smith will start in 14th. Jack Ivey 15th. Bjorn Heyman in 16th. Carlos De La Torre will start 17th. Rick Crawford in 18th. Iggy Chiordia will start 19th. John Wathen rounds out your top 20. Daniel Smith 21st. Omar Gomez 22nd. Martin Walters 23rd. And Salem Montgomery Jr. will bring up the rear in 24th. So we've got a little over 3 minutes left to go. And then it'll be go time. Just gotta see where he is in relation to where I'm at. And that's me and the Audi just up ahead. And of course I'll be dumped into the pits before all of this goes off. So yeah, I'm a non-factor here tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one shapes up. Round 4 from Vallelunga coming up in 2.5 minutes. Your pole sitter, Ronnie Nunez, is going to have to get a good hole shot if he hopes to survive that turn, that first turn, which really isn't a turn at all. They're going to start on the front start finish line just after turn 15. That's where the grid is set, and they go into turn 1, and turn 2, Curva Grande, is where a lot of these guys are perhaps going to try and take advantage of maybe some of the weaknesses of the other drivers, or the setups of the other drivers that are not able to hold a tight line through the Curva Grande. And just real quick, we got a little bit of time. So if you look up here at the track map, they're starting just behind the checkered flag where you see the red arrow pointing over to the right. Turn 1, not much of a big deal, but that second turn, that sweeper, can catch a couple of guys out there. They're going to be starting on cold tires, and from what we've seen, everybody's starting on mediums. Mediums tend to start pretty cold, and you're not going to have as much grip as you would with, say, the softs, which a lot of these guys were using during qualifying. So, going to be real interesting to see how this works out. And then going into turn number 4, Cimini 1, I should say, and then Cimini 2 is going to be quite interesting. We're going to try and stay on top of all the action. By that time, your race leader would have probably, perhaps, gotten well away from the pack at that point, but you never know. You just never know. So we're back here at the starting grid. 35 seconds left to go, and the lights are going to come on. I get dumped into the pits, and we bring you racing action. That's just the way it goes. And unfortunately, I think that I get dumped at the beginning of the well, here come the lights. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to bring you guys the action. Lights coming on. I get dumped into the pits as I stated. And they're off. And so I'm gonna wait until the whole field is by me right now, and you could see that. Oh, there they go through that sweeper, holding on as best they can. And boy, oh boy, your race leader, Ronnie Nunez, holds on to that lead. But wow, Luis Fermin holding on to second. Moises Caraballo up to third. David Poel in fourth. Early pressure from Alfonso Alvarez for the likes of John Ludden. These guys are racing real tight. Alvarez to the inside, trying to get a run on Ludden. Not going to get it done just yet. Alvarez with Alfonso Rodriguez just behind him. Chris Moses, Al Merriman, Brad Maris now. Oh, Al getting a little sideways there as they go through Semaforo. Aaron Parsons currently running back in 11th. John McIntyre behind him. Bjorn Heyman, Jack Ivey, Omar Gomez. Rick Crawford having a bit of a hassle there going through one of the turns. Iggy Chiordia currently running at 17th. Carlos de la Torre. Oh, Martin Walters getting the pass done on Carlos de la Torre. Salem Montgomery Jr. also getting a pass done on Carlos de la Torre. Daniel Smith. Wathen is in the pits. Nathan Smith. Oh, and your race leader, Ronnie Nunez, gets dropped all the way to the back, where he got dropped out of the server, but he's gone now. Everybody moves up a spot. Let's take it to the front with your race leader, Luis Fermin. So what an interesting turn of events. Ronnie Nunez off the server now. He's grayed out, as is Carlos Sanchez. Got a tight battle up here for third between Poel, Ludden Alvarez, and Alfonso Rodriguez. Man, Alfonso driving very nicely. I've never seen him be so aggressive like this. But, well, he's hanging in there. Appears to have that car, that McLaren dialed in really nice. Lucis making his way up to 7th. And just behind him, Al Merriman and then Brad Maris. Looking out the back of Brad Maris' car, we see Aaron Parsons currently running in 10th. Brad Maris out there representing Suspect Speed Racing tonight, and I believe he's doing it solo as Jeremy Bryant is out. He's not here in attendance today. We got some tight racing going on up front between Maris. Oh, Merriman's going to take it wide. Oh, and it looks like Alfonso Alvarez gets stuck in the grass. And he is now quickly dropping like a stone in the pond. And Alvarez all the way back to 12th. I believe he was up as far as 6th. So Martin Walters now left to carry on the torch. Currently running 13th as his teammate Ronnie Nunez dropped from the server and is no longer in the race. Jack Ivey currently running in 14th, followed by Rick Crawford. Omar Gomez, Salem Montgomery Jr. now moving up the ranks to 17th. Gonna have a look on the inside of Omar. Oh, Salem loses and they touch. They touch. Oh, and there's just a bad situation here involving Iggy Chiordia, one of the both Smith brothers. And Salem just parks it and he's gone. You caused the melee, then you bounce, huh? So, alright, it's showing Salem Montgomery Jr. in first, folks, but that is not the case. He's not in first. He's actually off the server. That's why he's grayed out. But the timing and scoring, he is past the timing scoring loop, and that is why Assetto Corsa now scores him as being in first, but he'll quickly drop to the bottom of the timing and scoring pylon. So Luis Fermin out front driving the BMW M3, followed by Moises Caraballo, David Poel in third, and John Ludden in fourth. So already some hefty early attrition. We've got Moises, David Poel now battling for that second spot, and John Ludden right behind them. We're gonna have a look-see from the roof cam on Ludden's car. Excuse me, folks. I'm sorry about that. But we we are locked in with this three-way battle now for second place. We are on board with John Ludden, currently running in fourth. David Poel just up ahead, and Moises Caraballo in front of David Poel. So we're going to take it a little bit further back now. Ooh. Moises locking up that rear right tire. Alfonso Rodriguez running in fifth. Chris Moses, Al Merriman, Brad Maris, and Aaron Parsons. As these boys now battle it out for sixth position. Al Merriman trying to have a look on the inside of Chris Moses, but not going to get it done. And it's really hard for these drivers to get it, get the power down coming out of turn 11, Semaforo, and then turn 12, which is Tornantino. A very tight hairpin turns, and it's not easy to get the power down coming out of those turns. We see Omar Gomez is now out of the race. So we're down to 19 drivers still running. And having to avoid Al Merriman, Brad Maris has to take it off. And that's going to let Aaron Parsons through. So the current battle right now for P2 between David Poel and Moises Caraballo. These guys are going side by side, trying to give each other room. Oh, John Ludden having to swing wide around Moises as Moises loses traction. So David Poel is now going to slot up into P2, and Moises Caraballo just behind him. John Ludden clearly with pace, looking to put the moves on Caraballo, and he's going to get it done. And Poel and Ludden now starting to quickly open up a gap to Moises Caraballo as Moises goes on a roller coaster ride. Alfonso having to swing wide again. Ivy under pressure from Rick Crawford. So Jack Ivy, Rick Crawford right now having a battle for P14. Jack Ivy able to maintain a gap to Rick Crawford. Nathan Smith. Nathan is currently running in 16th, the last points paying position. Good on you, Nathan. You just want to keep it there, buddy. Carlos de la Torre in 17th. Iggy Chioria. And Daniel Smith currently running at 19th. So, with your race leader, Luis Fermin out front, David Poel, John Ludden having a fierce battle for that P2 spot. And Moises Caraballo still not out of this one, trying his best to gain back those positions that he lost. So, John Ludden is all over David Poel's tail, putting all sorts of pressure on him. And the race leader is not too far up ahead, actually. You guys will be able to see the standings as they stream across the bottom of your screen. Last corner they come. David Poel holding on to a very solid second place. So these guys still, nearly touches as John Ludden has to slide the car just a little bit as he checks up on his brakes. Gives David Poel some breathing room now. Not sure that's what John Ludden was looking to accomplish. Nonetheless, he had to take some evasive action to avoid contact with David Poel. These drivers are driving these cars on the edge all the time. And so, they gotta be careful not to take themselves out too. So, you know, they're doing double and triple duty in a lot of cases here. As Moises Caraballo looking to the outside of John Ludden, but John Ludden says nope, shutting that door on you through turn number 12. That is the tightest corner on this circuit. Check out some other battles going on, because mid-pack looks like we got a bunch of red going on here. So Walters and Heyman having a battle of their own. Walters takes it wide. Corvette versus Mercedes versus Nissan versus McLaren. Walters trying to have a look on the inside of Bjorn Heyman. Oh, Walters gonna try the over-under. Going to the inside of the track. Looking to have the advantage going into turn 4, Cimini number 1. And it looks like his strategy paid off, as Walters is unable to put the pass on Bjorn Heyman. So, taking a look through the field, Moises Caraballo still out there, Alfonso Rodriguez in 5th, Chris Moses 6th, Al Merriman 7th, Aaron Parsons in 8th, and Brad Maris in 9th. Now, these guys completely comfortable with each other, as they have raced together for seasons upon seasons. Side by side. Still some good battles going on out there. Johnny McIntyre under some pressure from Bjorn Heyman. be out there running in the 15th spot. So out with your race leader, Luis Fermin. David Poel in the background trying to hold on as best as he can to Luis Fermin, but I gotta tell you that Fermin is just laying it down. He's putting the hammer down and he's just checking out. Oh, and it looks like Moises Caraballo is out of the race. It appears that we have lost Moises Caraballo. So that is now going to move some of these guys up yet again. Some of these guys, I don't know if they're having connection issues or what. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. So Moises Caraballo, Luis Fermin still your race leader. Now on board with Alfonso Rodriguez, currently now running in 4th. Chris Moses in 5th. Al Merriman moves up to 6th. Here comes Chris Moses and Al Merriman. Gonna try and catch Alfonso Rodriguez, and so right now Al Merriman is trying to put some of that pressure on the pit wizard, Chris Moses. can see that Al Merriman all over the tail of Chris Moses. Looking inside, outside, trying to get a pass done. Chris Moses not having any of it. Chris Moses catching the curve just up ahead. Will it give Al just what he needs to? Not quite. Closest battle out on track right now is with Chris Moses and Al Merriman, as they are both heavy on the brakes through Campagnano. Into turn 8 Surratt, and they will now enter Sector 3, tight and twisty. Al trying to give it everything he's got to try and get that pressure up on Moses. Now Moses is not easily giving in to pressure when he's racing. Pretty smooth driver. So Chris Moses looks like he's got a little bit of a started to increase the gap there just a little bit as they come into turn 4. Tear away just a moment here. See where Brad Maris is at. So now Maris is not too far back. We've got Nathaniel Smith and Iggy Chiordia who have pitted already. So these guys are now working on lap 22 of 55. Race session has been ongoing now for just about 35 minutes. About 1 hour left to go. So Brad Maris now turning up the heat as the gap starts to close between him and Al Merriman just slightly. here comes the wonder from down under, Aaron Parsons. Giving them heck. Alfonso Alvarez making his way back up into 9th. Cycle through the field over here. Johnny McIntyre running in 10th. Bjorn taking the scenic route in 11th. Martin Walters, Rick Crawford, Jack Ivey, Nathan Smith, and Daniel Smith. And Iggy Chiordia bringing up the rear there. Taking a look at Iggy, looking quite impressive. And I think we just lost everything. Yep, it looks like we lost everything.